What if losing weight actually meant eating food so flavorful you'd look forward to every meal? I used to constantly be stuck with eating bland meals like chicken, broccoli, and rice, and always gain the weight back, and then some. That was until I found a better way, even as a total beginner in the kitchen. So in this video, I'm gonna show you 4 protein-packed recipes anyone can make. They'll keep you full, taste incredible, and help you lose fat so fast it feels illegal. Let's get into it. You guys absolutely loved that I showed myself meal prepping the burritos in the last video, so I wanted to do that again, but for breakfast. And this breakfast sandwich recipe is one of the most flavorful recipes I've ever created, and it's so easy to make. First, I'm gonna get some biscuits in the oven. I'm always afraid for this. Oh yeah, I forgot that I have to peel this. And I'm gonna put some parchment paper down so I don't make any mess, and so the sheet pan basically doesn't even need to get washed. I crumple the parchment paper because it's easier to lay down and it stays flat. I'm gonna get all 5 in the oven, and then I have them ready to go for the rest of the week. And of course, make sure you set a timer because I would burn the shit out of everything if I didn't. Now, to get the most flavor out of your meat, you wanna let it sit and marinate, at least for an hour, but the best is overnight because it lets the marinade soak into the chicken, and when you cook it, even if it's chicken breast like this, it holds its flavor and moisture so you don't get a dry sandwich. So yesterday, I just threw the marinade ingredients into the bowl, which I will list on screen right now, and then added the chicken, which I bought pre-cut, so it was perfect and ready for sandwiches right out of the package. This only took me about 3 or 4 minutes to do. I hadn't made this in a while, so what I did have to do was go back to this honey butter chicken biscuit recipe in my cookbook and look up how to do it. So all we have to do now is get Dredge Station 2 ready, and it's only 2 ingredients, flour and salt. Mix it together, and then you're ready to start breading. And now this is gonna act as our wet station. I'm gonna use this hand as a wet hand and this hand as a dry hand. You'll see what I mean here in a second. But I let any excess drip off for a good 15 seconds or so. Then I wipe it against the sides to still get any excess off. And I put it in the flour mixture. And then I take my dry hand and cover the chicken with flour. And boom, now we're completely covered. And you could just tell by looking at it, since it's got to soak overnight in the marinade, it changed the chicken color completely because the marinade actually soaked in to the chicken, and it's just going to make the flavor taste so much better. You're gonna get the flavor of the biscuit, the flavor of the sauce on the outside of the chicken, the flavor from the flour, and then the flavor from the chicken. So it's gonna be so many different layers of flavor. Some of you are going to say, even with as easy as this is too much work for breakfast. We're making this one time, and then the rest of the time, it's going to be like a microwave breakfast. It's gonna take a couple minutes to come together. So yes, you put the work in on the front end, but then you get a delicious homemade meal all week long. What I would typically do, if I wasn't recording, is the air fryer would already be preheating and preheated. So I would throw these 3 in the air fryer right now, but since I want the audio quality to be better for you guys for the video, I'm just waiting. If you appreciate me trying to up the quality, do me a favor and like this video. I appreciate you. And any of the OG subscribers, let me know if you remember this recipe. This is one of the first recipes that I ever made, and it's still one of the best. You guys get the idea. I'm gonna set this to 350 and get this preheating. And if there's any tips that I need to tell you, I'll pause this. Whew. And just like that, our biscuits are done. So I'll put those off to the side. And since our wire rack is completely full, we're gonna put our first round of chicken breasts into the air fryer. And I just try to fit what I can, give it a little spray with oil, and we're off to the races. So we'll set it for 6 minutes. All right, let's check these bad mamma jammas out. Ooh, it looks beautiful. There are some points here that are gonna look more floury, but that's okay. We're going to put a sauce on it that's gonna cover it up anyway, and the flour is completely cooked, so we have nothing to worry about. Let's just make sure that we reached our temp. And yeah, see, we're well above. This would take probably actually 4 or 5 minutes to cook with how thin these are. Now, if you had thicker, smaller pieces, it might take this long, but we're already at 188 degrees from 6 minutes. So these next ones, I'm only gonna cook for 4 or 5 minutes. So let's say we made 6 sandwiches. I now have 6 sandwiches to use for the rest of the week. And it's all done in like 40 minutes. Incredible. What I would have done while these are cooking is make our sauce. So let's do that now. I want to get a little bit of softened butter, and then a honey butter chicken sandwich, of course, needs some honey. This is a spicy sandwich, so what would go better than some hot honey? And you only need a few grams of this, and it goes a very, very long way. Now we'll just mix these two together, and then our biscuit itself. You might be wondering, Nick, why'd you use regular full calorie biscuits? Because 1, they're super easy, 2, they're super flavorful, and 3, biscuits have layers, so it's very easy to manipulate them into making a lower calorie biscuit. So this biscuit weighs 55 grams, which is 180 calories. We're going to bring it down to 37 grams or so, and we're gonna bring it down to 110 calories, saving us 70 calories while still getting all of the flavor and ease to make benefits in every bite. Boom, 37 on the dot. So we'll spread our honey butter on both sides of the biscuit. Again, we want to build layers, and your mouth is going to go through everything 1 layer at a time. So if we can get the honey butter on the bottom and the top, we're going to taste it throughout the whole mouth, not just on the bottom, not just on the top. I'm going to put some sriracha. And the secret here is there's some extra honey butter always. So what happens is this ends up getting mixed in, and it's almost partially like a honey butter sriracha as well. We're gonna pretend like we're Picasso here and brush this sriracha straight onto our chicken, almost like you would for a buffalo chicken sandwich. And it's funny, it's actually gonna resemble a buffalo chicken sandwich because of the butter and the sriracha. And again, we want it on both sides, so we'll flip that over. We're part of the whole no sauce left behind gang, and that looks gorgeous. And then we'll place our chicken right onto our biscuit, put our top on. I'm gonna give this a few seconds in the microwave. Oh my God, I am so excited to eat this. This is one of those recipes where I make it again and I'm like, why haven't I made this in forever? It makes no sense. Bon appetit. The biscuit is so flaky, then you get hit with that sriracha and honey butter mix, and then the chicken is so tender and fall apart, you would not believe that this is chicken breast. Unbelievable. Oh my God. Okay, I need to go over the macros because I need to finish eating this. For this meal, we have 381 calories, 12 grams of fat, 32 gram carbs, and 36 grams of protein. For a real biscuit, full flavor, real butter, real honey, chicken sandwich for breakfast, that is absolutely incredible. And for me, this sandwich fills me up perfectly until the next meal. Let's get to meal 2. For meal 2, or what most people call lunch, I hold myself to 2 options. 1, put in no effort whatsoever. Think like something that's already ready or something I could heat up from the fridge. Or 2, I'm eating something that takes me less than 10 minutes to prep. No exceptions. On the days I do prep, I like to test potential recipes for the cookbook, like the one we're about to make. But lately, I've been relying on today's video sponsor, Factor, to save me time and energy, which means I get more work done. That's because Factor delivers fresh, never frozen meals straight to my door. So whenever I'm hungry, I just grab one from the fridge, heat it up for 2 minutes, and chow down. And they're great if you're trying to lose weight with tons of high protein, low calorie options to choose from that actually taste amazing. I usually pick ones with around 40 grams of protein and 500 calories, which fits perfectly into any meal. Lately, the jalapeno cheddar brats have been my go-to. They just hit different on a hot summer day. If you want restaurant quality meals without paying restaurant prices, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50E4CM to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50E4CM at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. When it's summertime, you make summertime classics, and today we're going to mix 2 of them together. While our pan is heating up, I'm gonna get these chopped up, and that's just some green onions and jalapenos. I hope you could see where this is going. I'm just gonna use a couple grams of olive oil here, or avocado oil, and I love to saute my peppers, get a little bit of browning on them. I'm gonna get my cream cheese ready. And luckily, I got this fat-free cream cheese. With the reduced fat, it just would be probably about 100 more calories for this meal. So we're starting to get a little bit of blistering on here, which is great. This cream cheese is also softened, so it's easy to mix everything in. And we'll add our green onion in here too. We want about 1 gram of salt here to give the jalapeno popper some flavor. Garlic adds flavor to everything, but I don't want that very sharp, raw garlic taste. So I already made a little hole in the middle, and I'm gonna go ahead and break the garlic into the middle of the pan. And a bit of this is stuck, and to get it unstuck, you can just add some water into here, because I want this pan nice and clear for our next ingredient. So I'm gonna add this straight into the cream cheese, and while this heats back up, I'm just gonna mix everything together. And we have our jalapeno popper filling ready to go in just about 5 minutes. See how with the soft cream cheese, everything just mixes right in? This is gonna be so flavorful. And you're not even gonna know this is fat-free cream cheese with the seasoning and the saute and the garlic and everything in here. For the second part of this, we need 2 tortillas. I'm using the Carb Sense ones. These are 45 calories, and they're a size of a regular taco flour tortilla. First, I'm gonna get a little bit of parchment paper, put the tortillas on the parchment. Then we got 93.7 ground beef. And I like to fold a piece of parchment paper here so I could weigh out the beef without getting the scale dirty. And we're gonna make 2 85-gram balls. So we'll weigh these out. And we're gonna use this parchment paper, flip it over onto the burgers, and we're gonna smash down these patties. Again, since we have a piece of parchment paper in between, we're not gonna make any additional dishes dirty. And that's perfect. Gonna do that again with this one. And since I can't season the other side of the beef because the taco shell is gonna be there, I am going to just do it now. And hopefully that works pretty well. So between the two, we got 10 minutes of prep here. And the last thing we gotta do is cook these bad boys. And of course, you should hear that sizzle as soon as the burger lands. If you don't know yet or haven't figured it out, I'm making these smash burger taco things that were so popular on Instagram. Probably a year ago at this point. I'm always late to the trends, but I'm kind of like Apple. It takes me forever to make something, but when I do it the right way. I feel like that's just trapping all of the steam, and these aren't gonna get that brown, but let's see. Yeah, kind of just trapped all the steam. Whenever I make smash burgers, I'm able to get really good browning on them. So you professional burger people, tell me what I did wrong, because right now, these are still gonna be good, but I didn't get the browning that I wanted. So I have some 2% sliced Colby and Monterey Jack that I'm gonna put right on top of there. I'm hoping cooking these a couple minutes on the tortilla side will give the tortillas a nice little crispness. These look ready to go to me. So what we're gonna do, add these here, and then we're gonna add our jalapeno popper mix. Oh, it's gonna be so, for those of you who don't know, I love cheese, and this is going to be so freaking cheesy. I cannot wait. All right, you can't even tell that it's a burger anymore, but you know what? That's okay. Oh, I'm excited. So I present to you jalapeno popper smash burgers. They fit into the macros, but let's see how they taste. I love the texture of the crunch of the taco. I do wish I got more browning on the burger, but oh my God, the jalapeno popper cream cheese on top just takes this to another level. This isn't perfect. It's probably a 7 out of 10 right now, but for the macros you're about to hear, and for the first time trying this, I would say fat thumbs up. For this meal, we have 638 calories, a little bit higher for lunch. I would like it in the more the 500 range. However, we then have 28 grams of fat, 44 carb, a good amount that are coming from fiber, but 66 grams of protein. 66 protein, 640 cal, great calorie to protein ratio. So I'm gonna eat this and we'll move on to meal 3. For meal 3, I wanna make something that is going to again last us all week so we don't have to think about dinner whenever we need something to eat. And it's all made in a food processor. Now, if you don't have a food processor, I will link a video that shows you how to do this by hand, but you could certainly do this in a bowl and a spoon, but I'm just trying to show you the absolute easiest way to do this. And again, we're going to make a classic on the channel. And we're just putting everything right into the food processor. Of course, we got our Vital Wheat gluten, which has 120 calories, 24 grams of protein, and this dough is only 5 ingredients. Well, 6 if you include water. And we're gonna let the processor mix this up for us. No whisk needed. Now we'll get this right back on the scale. We're gonna add some olive oil to our dough. And again, we'll mix this. And I like this 2 measuring cup trick because I'm just gonna add this into here. And now we have our water ready to go. Now it is time to add our water slowly over about 15 to 20 seconds. Real quick, we'll grab a bowl and we're gonna plop our dough out on the counter. I like to try and get any remaining flour out of here. As you can see, our dough's pretty sticky. That's okay. It'll come together, just push it around. On the original recipe, I didn't do anything else and the dough always came out fine. But I'm gonna let it rest for about 20 minutes and do a stretch and fold, just like you would do if you made this in the bowl and you didn't have a food processor. And a stretch and fold is just pulling on the dough 4 times and laying it over itself because it's gonna need, while it sits in the bowl, and then that little bit of force with the 4 stretches helps create that gluten network, and we're gonna have a beautiful dough here in about 2 hours. Time to go to the gym, and I'll see you back for part 2 of meal 3. Oh yeah, don't forget to cover your dough. It has been about 2 hours, and as you can see, we have doubled in size, and we are ready to get this on the sheet pan. You'll see why we have 2 sheet pans here in a minute, but we wanna get some nice browning going on and get our crust nice and crispy on the bottom, and olive oil is going to do just that. So now we're just gonna take our dough out of here. All right, we'll lay it in here. And all we gotta do is tap it around to spread it out. I am probably going to let this relax for about 10 minutes, just because the gluten's gonna get a little tight again. But if we give it 10 or 15 minutes, we'll be able to stretch the dough out no problem. And there really is no rhyme or reason here. I'm just using my fingers, the tips, to try and spread it out to leave nice air bubbles in the crust, so when it's in the oven we get a nice rise with good air pockets throughout. All right, with the oil that's on the pan and the gluten getting tighter, I think this is about how far I'm gonna get it to stretch right now. So I'm gonna give it about 15 minutes to relax, and then we'll finish stretching it out. But that's pretty good. All right, 15 minutes later, puffed up a bit, and now you can see when I stretch it, it lets it go all the way to the corner. Still gonna have to work it a little bit, of course, but it has a lot more give now. And the corners like to be a little fussy, but again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't need to be edge to edge. I'm more doing it for aesthetic purposes. And just like that, we have our sheet pan ready. This needs to rise one more time though, so we're gonna give it 30 more minutes, and we'll be ready to top it and eat it. And the toppings couldn't be easier. And our pizza looks absolutely gorgeous. We always start with the sauce, and because this is a barbecue chicken pizza, we are starting with barbecue sauce. Any no sugar added will work, but Sweet Baby Ray's has always been my favorite brand since I was a child, and we got 15 calories and 32 grams, so it's the perfect addition for a condiment or for some pizza. All right, we need 220 grams, and then we'll spread that out. I like to leave a crust that's about an inch or so. Typically, I use this John Souls Foods chicken breast. It's already defrosted and ready to go, but they didn't have it at my grocery store. So instead I got the frozen one, but all you have to do is heat this in the microwave for about 2 minutes. While that is heating up, let's talk cheese. We got 2 cheeses, fat-free and mozzarella. I always have some shredded in my fridge, so it's already ready to go. But you could use pre-shredded mozzarella, even though it doesn't melt the same and it tastes weird because of the powder they put on it. But I prefer spending the extra 2 to 3 minutes and shaving down my own. Since the chicken is cooking, I'm gonna take another topping, which is our garnish, some of our cilantro, and I'm just gonna rough chop this into little pieces. This is optional, but it gives it a nice look after it comes out of the oven. This would also be a good time if you liked onions, to put some onion on it. I'm not a huge fan of raw onions on pizza, even after it cooks in the oven, so I'm not adding that. Now, to make sure there's not a bunch of excess liquid coming out of the chicken, I'm just gonna give it a little pat down with some paper towel and see how much water's coming out. I don't wanna have a soggy pizza. And these are really big chunks, so I'm just gonna break these chunks up a little bit. Do this how you see fit. With this amount of chicken, you should have enough for every bite. It's important to layer the cheese in a certain order, and that is the fat-free first, because with no fat, it doesn't really brown. And we want that nice browning effect that our cheese gets, but if the fat-free cheese is on top, the part skim on the bottom won't have a chance to do any browning. And I just try to spread it out, obviously, as evenly as I can. The only thing left to do is throw this in the oven. I'll see you back once we have our finished product.
Ooh, wee!
Oh my God. This is looking absolutely gorgeous. And with pretty much zero work, we have days and days and days worth of pizza. Only thing left to do is cut this pizza. One hot tip for people that have a pizza steel, which is another kitchen essential that everyone should have. I really just need to make a kitchen essentials video, but there's a lot of steam that gets created underneath here with the sheet pan. And once we cut this, we could put a slice right on the steel and that bottom will crisp up perfectly in just about 1 minute. So like I said, looks perfect on the top, but it's still a little wet on the bottom. But listen to this once it hits the steel. That bottom's gonna take about 1 minute. It's gonna crisp right up. Oh, we don't wanna forget our cilantro here. Another great thing about this pizza is if you throw this in the air fryer the next day, the day after that, for about 2 to 3 minutes, the top perfectly browns and the bottom has enough time against the steel for the bottom to crisp up too. So it's perfect throughout the entire week. I actually forgot that I have enough calories for 1.5 slices. So I'm gonna throw another half slice in the oven. In just about 2 minutes, you could see how brown it got on the bottom now. Before it was a good pale white. So if you want, you can leave this in there for another minute too, and it'll just keep browning up to whatever your preference is. Amazing. There are no other words. For this meal, 1.5 slices, which means I have 5 servings for the entire week. We have 645 calories, 16 fat, 69 carb, and 59 grams of protein. For pizza, 650 cal, 59 grams of protein. You cannot beat it. I can't wait to eat this and then enjoy dessert. We never skip dessert in this household. With nearly 1 million views, my cheesecake recipe is by far my most popular dessert recipe, and I have many popular ice cream recipes on the channel. The best part, all you have to do to make it is put ingredients into this stand mixer and let them spin. That's exactly what I did yesterday. And now you get to go to your fridge, grab your food, and eat it. We just unwrap and enjoy. Let's take a look at how creamy this cheesecake is. And if you tried protein cheesecakes before and you've had not the best luck, try this one. And if you don't believe me, go to the comment section on my cheesecake recipe and just look at all the people that did make it and get their feedback on it. Perfectly cooked on the outside, and then as you get more towards the middle, it is nice and custardy, creamy goodness. So thick. And my girlfriend made some strawberry topping. Oh my God. Can I really lose weight eating this? The answer is yes. With some strawberries and artificial sweetener, mash it up, heat it up, little lemon juice. Oh my God. Pause. Let's go over the macros. For this half-pound slice of cheesecake, we have 372 calories, 15 grams of fat, 47 carb, a bunch of which, almost half, are coming from Swerve, which aren't calories, and 29 grams of protein. For the day, that puts us at 2,036 calories, 71 fat, 191 carbs. A good amount are coming from fiber and artificial sweetener, which aren't calories or are very few calories, and 190 grams of protein, which this right here has me losing 2 pounds per week like clockwork. But we still have an issue. We just don't want to eat the same foods every single week forever. That's why in this video here, I go over 4 more meals that are completely different than the ones I showed you here today, but are just as delicious and will have you hitting your protein goals and weight loss goals in no time. Until next time, deuces.